Okay, so um, Big Kit decides that her plan of escape is going to be murder suicide. She decides that she's going to kill herself and she's going to kill Wash in order to escape Erasmus and his cruelty. And unfortunately, fortunately and unfortunately, her plot is foiled in a horrible way. I won't say what it is, but I was just kind of disappointed because Big Kit was such a badass. I loved her. Anyway, Erasmus's brother is also here. It's this guy named Christopher Wilde, who is also called Titch. And Titch, this dude, man, oh my God. So Titch is like he's like a scientist slash inventor, okay? And he has this big idea. He's inventing this thing called a cloud cutter, which is a terrible name. All right. All it is basically, y'all, is a hot air balloon, okay? And so he's building this thing, right? But meanwhile, while he's on this plantation, he's seeing all of the stuff that's going on, and he doesn't really like it. But like, typical, whatever. He sees it, but he doesn't do nothing about it. Okay. So what his big plan is he wants to save Wash because for some reason he feels kind of emotionally connected to Wash because he's a kid or whatever. So he decides, I'm going to take Wash with me. Because he wants to take this cloud cutter thing on this world voyage, right? And he wants to take Wash with him. So he proposes to his brother that, I need somebody to help me, to come I need somebody who doesn't weigh a lot, first of all, to come with me on this cloud cutter on this world voyage. And I just need him to do slave stuff. You know what I'm saying? While I'm over here being smart and inventive and whatever. And surprisingly, Erasmus agrees to that. Okay. All right. So he agrees to that. But then a bunch of really whack stuff happens, right? It's like a string of bad things happen, including a facial disfiguring, a murder, a fleeing in the night, because that's when one is supposed to flee in the night, apparently. A bunch of pirates come out of nowhere. There's a love interest. There's a trip through the Underground Railroad and a sandstorm in North Africa. This book is literally all over the place. Now, the writing in this book kind of reminded me of Frederick Douglass's narrative. It was elevated, it was insightful, it was brilliantly descriptive. Um, but the character Wash, I had problems with. I mean, despite his horrific beginnings, Wash kind of comes off as incredibly naive and sheltered, even after several years have passed and he's grown. I mean, you would think that he would be more suspicious of white people and, even after all the horrible stuff he's been, but he becomes emotionally attached to Titch, even to the point of being almost obsessed with him and with following him around the world. But the woman the first woman and the first person who ever protected him, who he's ever known, Big Kit, he doesn't seem to have that same affinity and affection and allegiance to her, which I found strange. I mean, I get it. An allegiance to Big Kit equals never leaving the plantation, never having an adventure, and a book that is basically 4 chapters long where both of them end up dead. So I get it, you know. But I mean, through most of this book, Wash is trailing after Titch like a puppy, and for fiction's sake, and in spite of all of that, this book grabbed me by my throat. THOTE, throat. Okay, seriously, I wanted to shake Wash by his neck, but I also wanted him to win. And well, I mean, he kind of did, ultimately, sort of. So out of 5 stars, I'm going to go ahead and give it 5. I'm going to give it 5 because the writing was just so freaking good, you guys. I mean, I'm already a fan of Edugyan's work. Half-Blood Blues was amazing. If you ever get a chance, please read that. That was amazing. And her ability to make brutal characters so brutal, so real. I mean, every time Erasmus walked into a scene, my stomach tied in knots. It was that realistic, and she's that good. Honey, I was wrapped up in all things Wash and all things Washington Black. So, I highly recommend it. Check it out when you can. Let me know what you think. All right? I'll see you next time.